Hello and welcome to episode 4 of you watching me cook myself dinner. I'm your host and I'm going to be cooking myself dinner while you watch. As usual, we're going to be starting off tonight with a cocktail. And by cocktail, what I mean is my friend Absolute here, absolutely in a glass with some olive juice. So I got a little excited, I'm going to be honest, this is a live thing and I wanted to start the drinking and get to that as quickly as possible. So I've already prepared a glass full of ice water to chill the glass. Again, I still don't have martini glasses, maybe someday I'll take care of that. And in a shaker, I have also added ice. And let's get to it. You need the recipe for a dirty martini? Well, you can check out episode 3. That was the last one. It's the first time we did the martinis. They were great, by the way. It was great. You should try it if you haven't already. Okay, here we go. 3 shots worked last time. Let's do that again. I don't have a jigger, so I'm using a shot glass. I also don't have a thing on my vodka, so I can't count time, etc. Blah, blah, blah. Not super exciting. Ooh, we're almost out of Absolute here. That's absolutely a travesty. Here we go with the olive juice. Yep, just get that going on in there. Oh boy. Oh boy. Yep. Now, last time we made quite a mess using a pint glass to shake it up. And I'm probably going to, again, make a mess using a pint glass to shake it up. Actually, it's not so bad if you apply some pressure. Oh, no, getting everywhere. Okay. It's about ready to go. Doesn't need much. Ditch this water here. Nice chilled glass. Nice chilled martini. Pour that right on in. The best part of the meal, getting boozy. I don't know, actually the food's gonna be pretty good. So if you weren't aware of it already, tonight I'm cooking jambalaya. Now, I know it's spelled Jambalaya, but that's actually how you spell it, and it's pronounced Jambalaya, even though it's Jambalaya. So what is Jambalaya? Okay, well, basically it's all your leftover shit in a pan with seasoning. Sounds good, doesn't it? Seasoning's a little more complicated than salt and pepper, and we're also lazy, as we like to be. So for seasoning, we're using something called Cajun Seasoning. Yay! Makes it super easy. Okay, so basically, here's what we got going on. I have some chicken thighs. I'm going to basically just dice all this stuff up. I got some chicken thighs. Those were cooked on the grill. I have some andouille sausage. This stuff is bomb. It is a smoked sausage. This particular product is a chicken-based sausage, which is pretty good. I recommend it. Delicious. You should try it yourself. I have leftover shrimp, so we're just going to toss that in there. I don't even need to cut this up. I'm just going to take it out of the container. Oh, handful of shrimp there. That sounds great. Okay, toss that on the side. And let's see here. That's kind of it for our proteins. Pretty simple. Sausage, andouille sausage. It's smoked and delicious. Chicken thighs and shrimp for us tonight. First, we got to take a quick break here. Man, those martinis are great. And then we have a bunch of vegetables. So for veg today, already pre-washed. That's what they do on the show. I have this parsley. We'll be tossing some of that in there at the end. A bunch of green onions. These are great. Be eating those along with a bunch of celery and a tomato. Now, of course, there's weights and measures and all that for all this stuff, and I don't really care, and it doesn't really matter because, again, this is just a whole bunch of leftover shit in a pan. Now, normally this would be made with rice. Being low carb, we are making this with riced cauliflower, and it will taste very different than if it were made with actual rice, but that's okay. It will taste fine, maybe even delicious. I don't know. You can argue about that. By the way, if you're watching this on Facebook Live, thanks for tuning in. It's awesome to see you here, even though I can't see you. So any of the live comments and stuff, I can't see any of that, but that's cool. I'm just going to dice up my proteins a bit here. If you're watching this later on YouTube, the other people I watch on YouTube, they say that you should click the subscribe and the bell and the like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't make money off of this or anything, so it doesn't really affect me monetarily. But, you know, it always feels nice to know that people enjoy the things that you do. And I know I enjoy eating and cooking, really, but mostly eating. I mean, let's be real here. So yeah, click the things, do the stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Just roughly cutting up this andouille sausage. Of course, these things are pre-cooked. Both the chicken's already cooked and the sausage is already cooked. I'm not going to be cooking those on the stove. Speaking of other equipment, we have a pan. That's it. Just one pan, and it's got a lid because I'm going to need to cover it for a little while here in a minute. Let's kind of cut this up. Very good. All right. Proteins are all cut up and ready to do their protein stuff. Let's get these green onions ready to go. Green onions are delicious. I was at a restaurant a long time ago, back when we used to go to those places all the time. And the restaurant put green onions in the salad, and it was just amazing. It was like a, I guess kind of a chef salad sort of thing, you know, with a bunch of meats and veg and stuff with a nice creamy dressing. And they had green onions, and that really took it to a whole other level. And since then, I've been adding green onions to all of my salads. Soups as well, but mostly salads. I'm just gonna kind of cut this up into things. Oh yeah, flying everywhere. It's nice to clean up and then drop food all over the floor, and then, like, you know, we don't have a dog, so nobody eats it. It just kind of gets thrown out. A little unfortunate. All right, got all this kind of cut up. Get the ends, and we're not gonna use those. Push that off to the side. And before I get to the celery here, I'm just gonna start preheating that pan. Now we're doing something crazy here. Normally we use like olive oil or whatever. Today we're going to be cooking everything in pork fat. Yeah, that's good stuff. Pork fat, also known as lard. This is higher quality stuff than the bricks of pork fat. It smells like bacon, and it kind of tastes like bacon too, by the way. So big heaping teaspoon. It just kind of looks like, yeah, I don't know how to describe it. A white paste. Looks like paste. Yeah. Throw that into the pan, whole bunch of it. It's gonna add a ton of flavor. It's gonna make everything taste freaking delicious. And we wanna do this over a medium heat, because again, we're really just heating things and not cooking things. Our proteins are already cooked. All right, so I got that heating up. It's gonna do its business. And while that's doing that, let's get this celery cut up here. All right, just more chunks of stuff. Okay, quick and easy. Yeah, I want to get through all this chopping kind of quick here, because then I can get to the drinking, which is, you know, infinitely more fun. I don't think I could make it as an actual cook, like, you know, as a job, because there's just so much cooking that isn't just, you know, putting stuff together or heating it or manipulating it in a pan or whatever. Chopping stuff. Actually, worse than chopping stuff, I think I could deal with the chopping stuff. It's the cleaning up. Oh, gosh. Not a fan of cleaning stuff. Come on, there it is. There it is. Tons of stuff. Yeah, my chopping here, totally uneven pieces that are going to cook in different amounts of time and all that stuff. That's kind of like a cooking tip, if you will. Cut all your pieces to be roughly the same size so they cook at about the same rate. Yay! Except I don't really care, because, you know. All right, so our pork fat is liquefying here. That's how you know it's good. It turns to liquid. Don't need the vodka out and about. Kind of almost done with that. Oh, this is going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. I really like this andouille sausage. I mean, even on its own, it's great. It's a good, maybe, I don't know, runner-up. We had this conversation on Facebook a while ago. There was the whole, what's the best sausage? And kielbasa. Kielbasa was the runaway winner of that discussion. But I would argue other sausages are, well, or they can be, maybe as good or better. Italian sausage is great if it's actual, like, real sausage that you buy from maybe an Italian deli or something like that. It has a nice crispy, crunchy outside if you cook it right. But andouille, with this, which is the smoked sausage, is really flavorful and really quite delicious. Okay, just needs another minute here for this pork fat to turn into pork fat liquid, which is a good time to have a drink. Yep. All right, so here's the game plan. if we haven't kind of already gone over it. Basically, I'm going to stick all of this shit into this pan with this pork fat and let it get coated in the pork fat. And I'm also going to add Cajun seasoning. So this is 2 tablespoons of Cajun seasoning. I actually mixed that or measured that out. You can't add too much seasoning and then it just kind of tastes weird. And you know what? I don't even know what's in this stuff. I smell clove. That's like all I smell. Where's the thing? God, I wish I had like a producer or something to, you know, tell me things about stuff or put things. There it is. There it is. Okay, so here's what's in it. Let's see here. It's inspired by French, blah, 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 blah. It's got paprika, onion, garlic, black pepper, lemon peel, chili pepper, allspice, thyme, cloves, mace, red pepper, and bay leaf. Cool. Who knew? I sure as shit didn't. Okay, my fat is shimmering. So when you see fat shimmering, that means it's ready for it to do whatever it's going to do. So being lazy and uncoordinated, I'm just going to move the whole pan over here and just slide all this stuff into that pan of pork fat that is now liquid. All this chicken, sausage, green onions, celery, shrimp. You know, I don't think you're actually supposed to add shrimp. That's like maybe a little off topic, if you will, for this dish. But I don't care because I have extra shrimp and it's leftover and it's delicious. All right, so while this is all in the pan now, I'm going to mix it up, kind of get that fat to coat stuff so everything tastes like bacon and delicious. And once I get the fat kind of over everything, there we go. Fat vegetables. Didn't we talk about this previously? How like the whole purpose of vegetables is to be a delivery mechanism for fat? Yeah, that's true, by the way. That's not a lie. I didn't make that up. That's why vegetables exist, so you can eat fat. All right, so while that's all in there, I'm going to go ahead and add all this miscellaneous seasoning spice. Whoa, man, my hands are slippery. Get that all in there. By the way, that's it for seasoning. Not even salt and pepper. We're done. We are good to go. Got to mix that in, though. Tell you what. And I'm going to start a little timer here just to kind of keep myself on track of what's going on. So basically, I'm going to let this go for a while just to get the celery to soften up. That's kind of our goal because we don't really want crunchy, completely crunchy celery at this point. We're just cooking down that celery a little bit. Let the flavors kind of melt in together, become acquainted. And then I'm going to be adding some other stuff. Specifically, this tomato here that I need to cut up. I'll be adding that in a diced form. And I'll be adding the cauliflower. Rice cauliflower, we talked about that. That's a thing. And of course this stuff. This is chicken bone broth, or just maybe chicken broth. Whatever, bone broth. Broth is made with bones. I only need about half this, just a little bit of liquid. And in fact, at the end of this thing, before serving, I'm going to try and reduce that liquid as much as possible by basically evaporating it off and turning it into steam so that this thing comes out more like oatmeal and less like soup, because we're not making freaking soup. All right, simple enough. If you wanted to heat this up and give it a little spice, I mean, there's lots of spice from that Creole seasoning, but I mean, like heat, yeah, throw some cayenne in there. Like, no joke. I don't really feel like doing that, but you can add cayenne. Some people do that. It might be kind of weird if you added another type of pepper, like chipotle powder or something like that. That might be a little weird. This is not Mexican food. It's not. It's more along the lines of Cajun or Creole. It's French inspired, sort of. Maybe that's why there's fat in it. Okay, let that keep going. And while that's doing what that does, I'm going to cut up Mr. Tomato here. Now here's the thing I like to do to tomatoes. You use your thumb to kind of block off the tip of your knife, right? And you use that to know how deep to go, and you just kind of run it around here and cut out this thing. That's it. There you go. I cut out the thing. Flopped right over. Now I just have a tomato without the thing. Cool. Now I'm going to dice this, and I'm going to dice this the wrong way. Now there's a right way to do it. You can do it kind of like an onion, where you kind of get in there and do this proper dicing. I'm too lazy for that. I'm actually going to slice it once, sideways like this, and then just kind of give it these half-ish inch dices, and my knife needs to be sharpened. Kitchen safety tip: sharper knives are safer than unsharp knives. Did you know that? Now you do. Keep that in mind. Why? Well, obviously because your hands are going to slide around and the knife's going to slide around if it's not sharp. If it's sharp, it's just going to cut into whatever you're cutting. But if it's dull, it's going to slide and cut your thumb off. You don't want to lose your thumb. Not over food. It's not worth it. Is there anything worth losing your thumb over? My kids. I'll lose my thumb over my kid. Okay. I'll accept that. What else? Like your spouse or something? Is that worth losing a thumb? Is your spouse even going to respect you if you lose your thumb? Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know. Probably. I mean, that would kind of fall into the purview of just being a spouse, I guess. All right. That was enough of the cutting up the tomatoes. Give this a little bit of pan motion here. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. I mean, you could eat this like just like this, and it'd be pretty good, but not great. Let's be honest, it won't be great. It won't be great. It'd be pretty good though. I'm more interested in it being really good, not pretty good. Lots of green in there. Makes you think it's healthy. It might be healthy. I don't know. I'll bet you at least 30% of the people that watch this video believe that eating pork fat is healthy. Yeah, bacon is healthy. So that brings me to the question: what is health? What defines a healthy diet or a so-called healthy diet? I think universally, and I don't think this is controversial, I think we can all agree sugar is not healthy. I think we can agree on that. That's pretty straightforward. We could probably also agree that it's ideal if one would eat a lot of vegetables, right? Okay, so sugar bad, vegetables good, but you can't just eat a bunch of vegetables. You'll be hungry all the time. Vegetables have like no calories. Also, your body needs protein and fat or you will, die. So you got to eat some kind of protein, which I guess you could get from vegetables or beans and legumes, really. Let's kind of mix this up a bit here. We're about halfway done. That celery is starting to change color into a different shade of green. It's like 50 shades of green. And in fact, when you're eating vegetables, I believe, and this is my belief, and I'll bet you this is probably not controversial, I believe you should eat a rainbow of vegetables. Because rainbows are good, and that's where unicorns come from. Or, that's what unicorns poop. I saw an advertisement about that with for the Squatty Potty. Yeah, unicorns pooping rainbow soft serve. It looked actually pretty delicious. Yeah. Anyway, that's a thing. Okay, where are we here? 5.5 minutes of this on the heat so far. Celery is still not soft enough to my liking, but I have I have integrated the seasoning mix and the pork fat all over this stuff. I'm having second thoughts about that shrimp now. I don't know. I don't know if that was a good call. It's just I have it. It might have been better if it was raw because this shrimp might get a little overcooked and turn into rubber. No one likes eating rubbery shrimp. That's kind of gross. Anyway, while that's doing its thing, that's really tasty. Nice and salty today. I'm also going to cut up a little bit of this. So this is Italian parsley. And what we're basically going to do at the end of everything here, I'm going to take about a handful of this and just kind of throw it in there. I don't want to cook it. I don't want to wilt it because that would be kind of gross and nasty. What instead I want to do is just kind of get some of that rawness in there to brighten up and freshen up, or whatever the fucking adjective is, the meat or the meal with some of this Italian flat parsley. The curly parsley is stupid. Don't use curly parsley. I don't know why people use that for anything. It really doesn't really make that much sense. But I guess you could. Anyway, so I need about a handful of this. Here's a trick with things like parsley and cilantro and etc., where you want to eat the leaves and not necessarily the stems. If you hold the bunch upside down and then you kind of cut at like these angles around it, you can just kind of cut off the leaves and you're left with a bunch of stems, and it's like pretty good. So I'm just going to kind of go around this thing. And I'm being super haphazard. I'm not trying to conserve things. If I worked in a proper restaurant, then maybe we would save what's left, which is this bunch of shit here. to make like vegetable stock or something like that, but I don't work in a restaurant, and this is not a restaurant, and I'm not interested in making vegetable stock, so I'm not going to make vegetable stock. Actually, I am interested in making vegetable stock. I wish I could make my own stocks and stuff like that. It's just I don't have the freaking time for it at all. And on my hierarchy of things that I would prefer to cook myself rather than buy from the store, that's pretty damn low. Let's be honest here. Let's kind of cut this up. I don't want the pieces to be too big, because then you're going to get a big... I'm going to get a big bite of parsley. And as refreshing as that might be, and as neat as that might be for reducing my bad breath or something like that, it's also kind of nasty. You know, it's not really all that great. Okay, let that keep doing its thing. Keep cutting these up into little pieces here. I don't want to really mince it per se, but yeah. Wow, that's very fresh, very fresh. All right, that's good enough. Okay, a couple more minutes on that thing, and then I'm going to do another maneuver here. Now you'll notice, or maybe you didn't notice, I don't know, maybe you noticed, I have a lid. This is not a shield. It's also not one of those listening devices, you know, where I can put on the headphones and what was that thing that sport, we used to have these sport things on TV, and for the TV they would have microphones that would point at the action, like, ooh, okay, yeah, guys saying stuff, I guess. I don't really do the sports, not really my thing. This is not a sporting hat. This hat has no affiliation with any kind of sports at all. No sporting. Okay, 9.5 minutes. Let's see how the celery is looking, or really feeling. I'm just gonna give it a little push here with my spatula thing. It's still a little hard, needs another minute. Looking good though, smells like pork fat. Yeah, that's kind of our goal, I guess. Just mix it in. Sausage is plumping a little bit, even though it's cut into little bits. Little bits. Anyone get that reference? Little bits, come on. If you watch cartoons, like some of us do, I don't really watch cartoons, but there's a cartoon I watch. It's called Rick and Morty. It's probably the best cartoon. It is. When it started, they were really kind of ethereal, and if you were into the whole, like, I don't know, concept of space, the many worlds theorem of the universe, or poly-universe, that's not even a thing. Anyway, they speak to that. In fact, they follow the many worlds. Basically, there's an infinite number of realities, etc. That's a minority opinion in the scientific community, as it turns out. Maybe 20% or less of all scientists that are involved in this area of science agree with that opinion. And now you know. Anywho, it makes for great television, though, and it's very witty. Well, maybe not like Seinfeld witty, right? Which I didn't really find all that entertaining, to be honest. But yeah, it's neato. You know, what are the implications of there being an infinite number of realities? I don't know. I mean, well, actually, they explore that quite a bit in the show. All right, let's call this done-ish. All right, so now what I'm going to do is we're going to take this thing, add the cauliflower, and add the broth. What do I do with the cauliflower? That's right in front of you. When you drink, you forget things. Alcohol is bad, children. Well, I don't know if it's bad. My doctor told me I should drink more. Literally, he said that. A glass of wine is fine. I think he used wine specifically as an example because he thought it would be easily accessible for me, and he viewed me as maybe being an alcohol novice. What he didn't know is that when I was in college, I did lots of things like drinking, and I drank lots of things. He didn't know that. I was very experienced with alcohol. Still very. Anyway, I got this thing going. I'm going to add all this riced cauliflower here. That makes it ricey. The cat says hi. I don't know if you can hear her or not, but she's meowing. It's not quite her dinner time, but we're getting close, and she probably wants to eat something. Too bad. All right, and then we got this chicken broth. I'm only going to use about half of it because I don't want this thing to be soupy. That's about half. Let's call that half. I can hear it kind of boiling in there now. Now what I'm going to do is give this a mix. Get some stuff on the floor. make more of a mess. Yep. Okay. It's coming together. All right, so this white cauliflower is no longer white. It's now assuming the color of the sauce and seasoning, which means it's getting covered in pork fat and turning a reddish color, because that is the color of the paprika, I know now, from the primary seasoning that went into this. So what we're going to try and do here is actually, let's call it steam. It's not really steaming, but let's call it steam. It is kind of steaming. The cauliflower, because we don't want our cauliflower to be like baked or broiled or something ridiculous like that. Okay, so here we go. Lids on. Boom, there it is. Keep all that moisture and heat in there. Hit the start button on my watch here. And we're going to wait a couple minutes for that to kind of steam until it's fork tender. But these are little bits of cauliflower, so assessing whether or not they're fork tender is a challenge. And the cat is just rolling around on the floor, meowing and licking herself. And that's what she does. Primary. That's like her life. She licks herself. She runs around for no reason. Middle of the night, middle of the day, whatever. Like something is going down. Like there's some serious shit going on. She has to go be a part of it somewhere else. Where she licks herself. Yeah. You know, John Oliver has this great little clip where he's talking about how the world has changed due to COVID. And, you know, news reporters and so forth are giving their news reports from home, like most people do when they're required by their government to stay home. And in one scene that his team found, there was a reporter reporting on something. Could have been the weather, I don't know, whatever it was. They were talking about something, and in the background, the reporter's cat was making a 3-course meal out of its own asshole. That's a thing, and that was the punchline of the joke, and it was hilarious. That dude is funny, by the way, and he's on HBO. So if you want to see a cat making a 3-course meal out of its own butthole, you can check that out on John Oliver over on HBO, or HBO Max, since there's no more HBO Go, I guess. Yeah, so we have another, let's call it 3.5 minutes before this cauliflower is appropriately steamed. Next steps after that, we're going to take this tomato here, dump that in there, crank the heat up to high, and just kind of move it around and try and get a lot of the juices and stuff to evaporate off so that it turns from this moist thing that we're steaming the cauliflower in into a drier jambalaya that we can just eat and enjoy. Pretty straightforward. Okay, where is it going? 2 minutes in, 3 minutes to go. It's very exciting. Yep. Yeah, real cooking shows, there might be some cut to commercial here. That'd be a good time for that. Or, hey, I've already had this one going, and here's what it looks like when it's done. Or something like that. Unfortunately, my zero budget performance here, I have nobody to move the camera around. We don't do commercials and stuff. Actually, if you're watching this on YouTube, there might be commercials. That's not on me. I have no control over that. And also, you know, YouTube commercials, if you use something like a pie hole or whatever to block advertisements on your entire network, and or you use some ad blocking software in your browser, a lot of that doesn't work with YouTube. Yeah, YouTube, they use the same sources for content as they do advertisements. So good luck circumventing that. Total pain. Yeah, I can see that kind of bubbling in there. It's what it does. I'm going to give it a stir right now. That seems like the thing to do. We're 3 minutes into our 5-minute session here with the cauliflower. Let's kind of mix that up a little bit. Yeah, I really don't want these little bits of cauliflower all around the outside of the pan, because what happens there is they kind of bake, and we don't really want dry baked cauliflower. We want fluffy. Is that an adjective you could use? I guess fluffy. Fuck it. It's fluffy cauliflower. I don't care. Oh, something's sizzling. We got something somewhere. That's cool. So that happened. I'll give it another couple minutes and we'll check it for fork tenderness. Cool. Bit of a heat wave going on, huh? Yeah. How about that local sports team? Oh, actually, we do have some local sports teams doing local sports, just not locally. I guess the local baseball team is doing pretty well this time. Or at this time. Now, does that even matter? Like, it's not even a real season. Yeah, so many games in baseball. But that kind of makes sense. I mean, the level of exertion per game in a baseball game for the typical player is very low. Not as bad as American football. American football, did you know there's something like 14 minutes of actual gameplay? Right. The average game takes like 2 hours and change, and there's 14 minutes of actual gameplay. Right. The rest of the time, they're, just shooting the shit. Because that's what they do in these sports. All right, this is about ready. I'm going to call this about ready. Take a look. Ooh, look at all that steam coming off. It would be way more impressive if I set something on fire over the stove, right? Like, we've done that in the past. Episode 1 that never made it onto the interweb because of, Facebook sucking. Okay, that looks goodish. All right, so here's what we're going to do. Got this going here. I am going to add all this tomato. You say tomato, I say tomato, I say I don't care. Throw that in there. Voila! There's a scene in the movie Ernest Goes to Camp where the cook guys are cooking stuff and they're just like throwing shit together into a machine and it spits out the stuff that looks like vomit. Yeah, that's not what this is. It's not. This is actually great. I'm gonna rinse my hand off here. Okay, smells fantastic, by the way. I know you can't enjoy that, but I can. It smells great. All right, mixing in the tomatoes. It's going to be some other color in there, and we're going to crank this all the way up to high. Now, this is already pretty dry, as it turns out, but there's still some moisture in here. I really want to kind of evaporate that off over the high heat. So that's what we're going to do. It's not going to take too long. A lot of that steamed off, but you can see when you kind of pull it back and you see liquid flowing into the parts of the pan where where you pulled it back and there's nothing else there. That's how you know there's liquid. Yeah, there's a bunch of it. So I'm just going to keep this moving around. Kind of get that liquid to release itself, let everything get some access to the heat. We're almost done here. It's only going to take a couple more minutes. Which is fine. Maybe I'll start cleaning up, I guess. Gosh, martinis are great. It's a quick one. I know. Normally these videos are like 40 minutes. I think that's like a faux pas, right? Like you're not supposed to have a 40-minute video, but I also do no editing. And we don't do no hurry up sort of stuff. You know, like already had this done or editing. I think that's really just what it is, editing. Okay. Keep this moving. It's almost done. Like so close. So close to done. While that's doing that, let me get a spoon. It is essential that you test your food as you're going to assess the level of seasoning and whatnot. Yeah, pretty good. I'd actually prefer a little more salt, to be honest. I'm gonna use this pink Himalayan salt. It's got minerals. That's why it's pink. Yeah, mix that in there. I can see that we're running low on moisture, which is good. It's almost ready. Yep. Okay. Just kind of make a little space here, see what's going on. Yeah, there's a little bit of liquid, but very little. Actually, the second I kill the heat on this thing, there's going to be like a big plume of steam that just rolls up. It's going to be great. All right. We need a handful of parsley. We're at that point. I'm actually going to kill the heat now. Big plume of steam. Oh, look at that. I don't know why that happens. There's probably some physics or something. All right. Throw in a bunch of this diced up Italian parsley. Chopped up. It's not really diced because it's a leaf. You can't really dice a leaf, really. You can chop it. And that's it. We are done cooking. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just kind of mix that parsley in. Leave it here. And plate it up. Whoop! All right. get a plate. This is my favorite part of the show. It's where I put things on a plate and then start eating them. Now, good question. Do you need a side dish to go with this? I don't know. Maybe. Some people, I'm sure, do that. All right, so much heat going off this thing. All right, here we go. Here's the big money shot, by the way. There it is. There it is. Yeah, it looks all brown and green because the lighting is shit. But hey, it's delicious. Trust me. All right. Thanks for tuning in to episode 4 of you watching me cook myself dinner. I hope you have a good night. Cheers.